This is Eagle 1 to Eagle 2. We have a problem.
Do you have it in you to kill something? Well, this week, the question is why you don't have to kill that something, especially the parts of you that once kept you safe. So have you ever thought that in order to move forward in life, you'd have to kill something? Maybe not literally, but some part of you, some person in your life, some version of yourself that keeps getting in the way. Maybe you've had that moment where you thought, if I could just get rid of this feeling, this voice, this job, this person, I'd truly be free and happy and just be able to be me. Well, what if that thing you've been trying to kill isn't your enemy at all? That voice we all have. We've all had those angry thoughts. You're driving and someone cuts you off. And in a flash you think, I'd love to run that guy off the road. Or you're in a fight and a dark voice says, I swear I could just... You don't act on it, of course. But the voice is real, isn't it? And the older I get, the more I believe that voice isn't just anger. It's pain. It's trauma. And it's showing up in a mask. That voice usually started a long time ago. For me, it started when my parents split. I didn't have the words for it at the time. But what I felt was abandonment. Something that was supposed to be there forever was suddenly gone. And that moment, that pain, grew into something now I call the eagle. The eagle, you ask? Well, the eagle is that part of you that flies just above your head. It watches for danger. It scans for threats. It tells you to stay where you are, even if you are miserable. You know why? Because it wants to protect you, or it believes that it's protecting you. So my example would be in my case, that eagle kept me locked into a 30-year career. Even when I knew I was done. Even when my soul was screaming, get the fuck out. But the eagle said, it's stable. It's safe. You've got a pension. You've led people here. You can't just leave them. And for years I stayed. Not out of loyalty or logic, but out of fear. That's what the eagle does. It keeps you from feeling that original pain again. And of course it works. Until it starts costing you your life. And then I would say to myself, well, if this is to be true, this must be showing up in my relationships too. You know, I'd be drawn to people who were spontaneous, like chaotic, the opposite of my need for order. And at first, I'd admire that. I'd be energized by it. But when things got serious, my ego would start to panic. Like it would shout, this isn't safe. You're not in control. You might get left again. And what happens then? The relationship turns into a battleground. Two people's trauma circling the same space, neither one understanding each other. One lives in chaos. The other needs order. One sees unpredictability as freedom. The other sees it as danger. And no matter how much love there is, The eagle sees only threat. So for years, I tried to kill that part of me. That fear, that anxiety, the overthinking. I thought I had to silence it, bury it, and fight it. But what if the answer is to stop fighting it? And or trying to kill it even? What if the answer is to let it land? To let the eagle sit on your shoulder and thank it for protecting you all these years. Because at its core, the eagle isn't your enemy. It's your childhood self, basically. It's part of you that kept you alive. But if you don't integrate it, if you keep rejecting it, it flies higher, louder, and gets more desperate. So here's what has taken me a long time to learn. And I'm still learning. You don't kill the eagle. You invite it in. You let it sit on your shoulder. You listen to it. But you don't let it steer the ship anymore. And once it's on your shoulder, you start to see things through its eyes. But also your own. You begin to understand the situations, the people, the systems that used to trigger you. That's what's happened in my last year and a half at work. I didn't quit out of anger. I walked away with clarity. Because I'd finally made peace with the part of me that was afraid to leave. And once that happened, I started to see the trauma in the system itself, in the culture, the leadership, the people who were still stuck. I saw how we all had eagles, and most of them were still flying 37,000 feet above, screaming, protecting, panicking. And the hardest part was holding your own line. So what do you do when someone else's eagle can't handle yours? What if the person you love or work with feels threatened by your peace, your growth, your clarity? You hold your line. You say, this is who I am. I'm not going to rip out a piece of myself to make you feel more comfortable. That's the test. That's that edge. Because sometimes the eagle that lives in someone else will try to knock yours off your shoulder. And if you bend for them, if you silence your truth, you're right back where you started. Maybe you're realizing your eagle has been flying for a long time. Maybe it's tired. Maybe it's finally ready to land. You don't have to kill the parts of you that keep you safe. You just have to thank them, try to understand them, and then integrate them. And once you do, you'll start to see the eagles in everyone else. And that's when the real healing begins. Only you know if your eagle is truly perched on your shoulder. Only you can feel whether it's still circling above, panicked, scanning for threats, or resting beside you, watching but no longer running the show. But for the sake of answering this question, this big question, we have to assume it is perched. And as you stand there in front of that person, that organization, that partner or friend, You say, I'm hearing you. I understand that you operate best when things are spontaneous, fluid, even chaotic. And I'm letting you know I operate best when there's structure, order, and steadiness. And you truly recognize that neither one of you, or the organization, or whoever you're having the conversation with, is wrong. They're just different ways of flying, let's say. So maybe the answer isn't to change each other. Maybe it's this. Let the one who thrives in the chaos steer in those unpredictable moments. When the plan falls apart, when risk needs to be taken, let's say, and let the one who brings grounded thought, careful steps, and long-term focus keep things rooted when the storm dies down. And in that kind of balance, where neither eagle is clipped, but both are seen, you won't just answer the question. You might find, well, you're no longer needing to ask it. Because in that space, right there, you're not fighting to survive each other anymore. You're finally learning how to fly and be a partnership in whatever you're doing with something other than yourself, with togetherness. And with that, peace. And hopefully, this talk has finally landed.
This is Eagle 1 to Eagle 2. We have finally landed.